Hello and welcome to today. Yes, my guest today is Bonnie Giller, and she's going to talk a little bit about what she brings to this world and what she brings to the topic of our summit and our masterclass series. Change your thinking, change your body. Welcome to today, Bonnie. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for inviting me here today. I'm thrilled to be talking about this topic with you.
I'm so excited too. Yeah, and we're East Coasters. I feel like I'm going to enjoy speaking to the East Coast again, me being out here in California only such a short time. But let me just read a little bit about you, if I may,
Sure.
and what you bring. So there's a little short bio here too. So who is Bonnie? Bonnie Giller helps chronic dieters and emotional eaters break free of the pain of dieting and get the healthy body that they love. She does this by creating a tailored solution that combines three essential ingredients: a healthy mindset, caring support, and nutrition education. Inspiring this audience today, we're going to talk about breaking free of the pain of dieting so that you can finally lose the weight, keep it off, and get the healthy body that you'll love. I just want to read a little bit about your mission because I liked it. I felt the congruency here in what we're talking about. And
Sure.
so Bonnie writes that her mission is to help people like who are watching today and us shift their mindset, making themselves a priority in their lives so that they can honor their body, thoughts, and feelings to achieve a freedom to eat forever. So that really, to me, makes a lot of sense. And so I'm so fortunate to have been able to get you as a guest speaker today and an expert. So thank you so much.
Again, my pleasure.
Yeah, I'm excited. What brought you to this work, if I could ask, Bonnie?
Oh, absolutely. I love talking a little bit about my story because I think it's important for people to know how any of us have come to do the work that we are doing today. And, I'll try to keep it short, but my journey actually goes back to when I was growing up, and I was as a teenager, influenced by my friends trying all the latest fad diets, wanting to lose those 5-10 pounds, never really happy with my body, always feeling self-conscious, especially at the age when I was starting to date or wanting to date and get the boyfriend and like the popular girls. And so I wasn't really so pleased with the extra pounds I might have been carrying, and so tried different diets. After high school, I went away for a year to study. And one of the things I had said is I'm not coming home having gained weight, because I know a lot of girls who are older than me, people that I was friends with, they would go away for the year before they started college, and they'd come back having gained a ton of weight, and people would be like whispering behind their back, and it was horrible, right? And I swore to myself, that won't be me. And in fact, when I was away, I really did restrict quite a bit. I over-exercised, I cut my calories, I really went to the other extreme, and did come home with quite a bit of a weight loss. Actually, my parents quite concerned about me and my health and my mindset, wanting to run me around to many doctors. But I did assure them that, you know what, I'm back home, I'm back in a nourishing environment. Let me start college, things will be fine. And it was that at that point where I had an interest in nutrition, and I started taking courses. Went on to get my degree in nutrition, my bachelor's degree in nutrition, and then went on to go for my master's, graduate school, and then become a registered dietitian. And, I would take you to a point in my life where things were, everything was going great, I will say. And then I had a challenging time in my life. It was after my fourth daughter was born. Well, my fourth child. So I have 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls. And after she was born, I went back to work like 11 days after she was born, and I had a C-section. And it was one of those things where at the time I was running 2 private practices. I was also the director of a dietetic internship program. So I was teaching other women and some men how to become dietitians. And so I was their mentor and the director of the internship program. So I traveled a lot, and I didn't take care of myself at all, but I felt that I needed to get back to work right after I had the baby because it was their graduation. And nobody else can run the graduation. I had to run the graduation.
Of course.
Superwoman that I am. So, having had a C-section, having had my 4th child, I was a little bit of an older mom at that point. it was really tough on me. And that year after she was born, I actually put on 20 pounds and I wasn't feeling good. I was emotional. My hormones were all over the place. I didn't feel great in my body. I went to my doctor and I was complaining to him and he said, Bonnie, you know what you need to do. You need to exercise. I was always an exerciser, but I laughed at him and then I started crying and I said, you're a man, you don't understand all my responsibilities. But really, truth be told, that was my wake up call. And I really started to, you see, I actually had some difficulties after the birth, so I wasn't medically allowed to go back to my exercise routine. So that was also part of what was going on with me that first year. But I really did step back. I looked at my eating patterns. I put myself on a quote unquote meal plan like I've done for so many of my clients. I resumed exercise. I lost all the excess weight. I felt great. But here's the thing, what I recognized is about now, I'm going to say it's about 6 years ago, changed everything for me and changed my relationship with food and really brings us to what my work is today and what we're going to have a conversation about. And that is this concept of intuitive eating. Because what I recognized in working with clients was that a lot of the clients I was working with, while they did lose weight on the meal plan, many of them would call me back several years later and they'd be like, Bonnie, I need to come back. I need another meal plan. And I'd be like, why? What's going on? And then I realized this is a group of individuals who they don't need another meal plan. They have a very strong, what we call diet mindset. And the meal plan that I created, by the way, nothing restrictive, not a fad diet, very nourishing. I really base all my recommendations on what your body needs and education. However, they took that and made it into a diet.
Sure.
And so it was just another form of a diet where they didn't allow themselves to have certain foods. And I stepped back and I said, I got to find another way. And that's when I researched, I found intuitive eating and mindful eating, and I trained under the creator of intuitive eating. And that's when I implemented it into my life, because at that point I had to fess up. Even though I was, healthy and well, and I was happy with my body and I was eating this wonderfully healthy eating plan, that was truly a diet for me too, because I would not allow myself a piece of birthday cake, anniversary cake, or whatever might come in my way. And I realized, you know what, I have a diet mentality as well. And so I incorporated the principles of intuitive eating into my life. I created a step-by-step system because I feel like it's important for me to understand it and live it before bringing it to my clients.
Sure.
And then I started bringing it to my clients. And that's how I got to do the work I'm doing today with my Freedom to Eat Forever program and some other programs. And it's just amazing freedom that I have, that my clients have, when we finally give up dieting and just break free of dieting.
Yeah. So I guess between that, because I want to hear more about what you mean by intuitive eating, but I guess that would also, I think that answers, hopefully everybody was doing what I was doing and watching this, that we're all nodding that, yeah, that was my path, doing the restrictive on and off, that yo-yo dieting. And every time, interestingly enough, because we don't know that we're going through this, do we? Every time it reinforces that negative behavior. That's negative behavior, the yo-yo dieting. I think we think it's going to be in the positive path. Here's the next best thing, until we start to, change the way we're looking at things. So, and that's why it reinforces, the yo-yo and the failure, I'll call it. For me, for sure, it was always failure, giving up on myself and everything else. Here we go again with I can't do it, with the thinking and feeding that paradigm of all of that too. So tell us, what do you mean when you say intuitive eating? I think we could probably guess what that is, but tell us exactly in
the simplest terms, intuitive eating is eating based on your physiological need to eat. So eating based on your hunger signals, eating based on your fullness signals, or starting when you're hungry and stopping when you're full, not eating based on situations, not eating based on emotions. However, having said that, it's not that easy for people to return to being an intuitive eater. And I say return to it because, as we probably realize, we were all born intuitive eaters. If you have children or grandchildren, or you just, see other babies and they cry and they're hungry, that's a hunger cry, and then they've satisfied, so they push breast or bottle away. It's intuitive. It's innate. You were all born with that. Everybody listening today, you were all born intuitive eaters. However, if sitting here today, you're saying, I don't feel hunger signals, I don't feel fullness signals, there's nothing wrong with you. There's definitely reasons why you've lost that. And most of the reasons really lie in the multi-billion-dollar diet business. And we'll get more into that. But you can return to being an intuitive eater, but it is a process. It's not something that happens overnight. It's not as simple as saying, okay, I'm going to start to eat when I'm hungry and I will stop when I'm full. And a lot of times people think, okay, that's what I'm going to start doing now. And they still hit a brick wall.
Yeah. And that'll be my new way of thinking. Well, and it's interesting because as I'm thinking about it, both as a child with my parents and with my children, when I was not so much breastfeeding, but definitely bottle feeding, when they were finished, I still wanted them to finish the rest of whatever's in the bottle.
Yes.
And I would, right?
Well, that's the other part of it. Well-meaning parents.
Right.
I myself was a young mom and very well-meaning. And if the baby pushed away, I'd be like, no.
We're almost there. Right. We're almost there. Or my parents used to say to me, of course, product of the Depression, but I didn't know that when I was little. And it was finishing everything on your plate. And I used to get a lot of, it's a sin if you don't finish everything on your plate. So now I'm, higher power issues, So, that I like to remind, because I'm sure we all remember, I like to remind because it's not our fault that when those paradigms get set or that behavior gets set and it's so strong, especially when it's set by iconic people. I mean, my parents said that, oh my God, it's a sin if I don't eat everything. Uh-oh, you told me that was bad, right? So it's interesting then to just be reminded of that, because you getting in touch with intuition and knowing when I'm hungry, let me feed myself. And then that tape playing that, oh gosh, all the past stuff is harder. Doesn't have to be hard, but it needs to be mindful, right? It needs to be awareness. So
that's why, in the work that I do, we start with shifting the mindset, and there's so much in that step of shifting the mindset. Yes, it's shifting away from thinking as a dieter, but it's also understanding the messages that you were given as a child that you've taken into your adulthood and that are really lying in your subconscious and that are driving your actions. And so a lot of times even negative beliefs that were put down and that we believed as a child about ourselves, if we were told we had to lose weight, or bullied about our weight or whatever it was. And so these are the things that are very important to really tackle, to sort of break down those walls as part of that very first step towards returning to being an intuitive eater. And that's why I say it's not just about saying, okay, I'm going to listen for hunger and stop when full. Because while you can probably do that, there are going to be messages and subconscious thoughts that come in the way if we don't really look to overturn them and reframe them.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I work very hard towards that, both with myself and clients as well, because it is, in my opinion, it is the key to the kingdom, queen, in changing your thinking and recognizing why it is so hard to do. I remembered personally, I went through a task of all the things I was told as a child about food and eating and, and counter, some of the things where you took everything, what are your eyes are bigger than your stomach? I mean, I could say the list of things that was told that just plugged in like, oh, I guess that's not good. Or, oh, okay, I guess I shouldn't look at it that way. And I think when you sort of examine, like throw all the thoughts out on the table, if you will, you could start to see, well, of course this would add up to why my head is going where it is and why I keep getting onto this, rat race of diet mentality. And then of course it's a society is all in with me.
Right. And look, there are claims, lose 30 pounds in 30 days, drop a dress size in a weekend, take this pill and burn the fat. I mean, there's so many claims that are extremely, they're sensational for people that are desperate to lose weight. It suckers you into it yet again, even though deep down you know that it doesn't work. I think by now most people do know that diets don't work, but they fall back to those diets because it's very, very tempting. And it's almost like, let me just try that one last diet. Let me just lose the 20 pounds. Then I'll learn how to be an intuitive eater again. And that is a trap that people fall into, and a rabbit hole. And I always really try to make people well aware of that, right? There's always going to be another gimmick around the corner, another diet around the corner that's going to just reel you in. Be strong to that. If you recognize that diets aren't the answer because they've never been the answer for you, because yes, you will lose weight short term, but we're still here talking about it. So we do know that that weight comes back plus more. So really long term, that weight never stays off, right? I always say no form of dieting is going to help you to lose weight and keep it off. That's the whole thing, keeping it off. And
Yeah.
that's where the healthy mindset, the
Yes.
caring support, and the nutrition education, those are my 3 essential ingredients that I build my core programs around. Those are very, very important essential ingredients so that not only will you lose the weight, but you will keep it off.
Mm-hmm. And how do you start when, because the pull to the familiar and
Right.
those thoughts, and again, I it is key, obviously, to become aware of the thoughts, but then, you sit there and you go, but that's what I feel so strongly. That's how I feel about things. That's how I feel about my capabilities, my trust in myself, my fear of failing again, and all of that whole craziness. Where other than mind awareness for the mindset, what
Well,
would you start with?
right. So first of all, I mean, I really help people to understand that number one, they're not the failure. It's the diets that have failed. And oftentimes when I bring that up and I explain that whenever you put your body in a starved state, it's normal and natural for you to, the first opportunity for you to eat when food comes in front of you, for that to happen with such an intense feeling where you end up eating out of control. I mean, anytime you put your body in that state, that's normal and that's natural. You have not failed. So the first thing, and they have so much relief when they realize it's not them that's failed, understanding that this has caused them to lose the trust in their body, to lose the trust in their food choices, but they can regain that. And one of the most important things is that support, that caring support. Now, that comes in 2 different ways. Number one, it comes in the way of self-care. Where are you on that self-care ladder? Are you taking care of yourself first, second, third, or not at all, right? And most of the women that I work with are lowest on the totem pole. Their needs are on the back burner, not on the front burner. Similar to how my needs, I wasn't taking care of myself when I went back to work 11 days after I had my daughter via C-section, and that entire year running 2 private practices, running internship programs, I was not taking care of myself. Until I had my wake-up call that says, you know what, I said, self-care is important here if I want to really make change. And so that's number one, really digging into your self-care and recognizing that you don't have to feel guilty to take care of yourself. Actually, everybody around you, your family, your friends will benefit from that, because now you're really able to help them more from a place of abundance, right, than from a place of empty, right?
Sure. How do you, just to interrupt there, because I think a lot of people who are so not used to self-care don't even understand what that needs to look like. For, you know what I mean? They'll define it a whole different way. So what do you tell clients?
Well, you know what, self-care, there's so many different areas of self-care that I delve into. So if you're even looking at the physical aspect of self-care, it's getting enough sleep, for example. And I know that is always a challenge for me. It's still something that I'm working on. And I set goals to really get more sleep. So definitely sleep is a big one, right? How many hours of sleep are we getting a night? Nourishing yourself with food, really eating, not skipping meals, running around, going to doctor's appointments. If you have a toothache, don't just put it off. Take care of those needs. So in that regard. And then, of course, there's the other types of needs like meditation, perhaps. Maybe start your morning with a 5-minute meditation, or there's exercise, there's stretching, there's the me time. Me time could be anything. I mean, I really encourage my clients to take, it doesn't matter how long, it could be 5 minutes, it could be 15 minutes, it doesn't matter, but every day, some time of me time, and do whatever you like. Maybe it means just going in the backyard and if it's a nice day out and reading a book, or just closing your eyes. It could be going to the local park and sitting on a bench and watching the kids play or watching the birds, you know, if the weather's nice. It could be anything. And I'll never forget one summer I did that. It was a Sunday afternoon. I went in the backyard. I sat on a lounge chair with a book and I was just reading, and my husband came out and he said, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Well, what do you mean, am I okay?" He goes, "You're sitting in the backyard reading a book, doing nothing on a Sunday afternoon." I said, "I know, it's me time." You know, I mean,
Yeah.
I really felt that this is important.
And it's interesting because not to interrupt you, but a comment like that would get me to go, oh my God, I shouldn't be doing this. Do you know? So
And here you go. You got to train the people
exactly.
that are in your life to say, you know what, I'm important and I am more than happy to help you, but I need to do this for me as well first. And, you know, that's another great example. Like, you come home from work and you're tired, you're exhausted. You know that, you know what, I just need to sit down for 20 minutes, close my eyes before I make dinner. And then your kid comes up to you, "Ma, can you take me here or there? Or can you
Here
help
we
me
go.
with homework assignments?" And you're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure I can," even though that's the last thing you really need to do or want to do in that moment. Now, truth is that could probably wait 15 minutes while you take care of yourself just for that bit of time. But you don't, because there's the guilt. And so you do this individual or your child, whomever asks of you. And then afterwards you plop down and now you're resentful and you're frustrated
Here
and
we
you're
go.
hungry and you're ending up actually in the cabinets, putting whatever you can find in your mouth.
Bag of chips. Here we go. Yep. Here
Exactly.
we go. And that's the part I think that's so difficult in the starting this to change things, to change the way you're looking and feeling about things, because comments like, you know, of course your husband was surprised, like, what are you doing? Because this isn't what you do. And we teach people how to treat us, don't we?
Oh, yes. We
And
do.
that's why they're so alarmed by this. What do you mean you're gonna, you know, like, you know, it's funny because, you know, you talk about work in progress. I mean, I know all this, and many people in the audience are probably going, yeah, I know that, but it's different to try to actually take a moment and do. Yesterday, here I am knowing my body was saying to me, you need to take a nap. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And I just kept plugging away, and I'm ignoring it. And I'm almost talking to myself going, I know you need a nap, but I have another hour of la 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 to do, whatever it was I was doing,
Right.
where my body just took me out.
Right.
And I went, why am I fighting this? Because after the 15 minutes, and I set my timer so I didn't have to feel all pressured with my time suck issues, right? I know people are going, I know. And so I set the timer, and after 15 minutes, thank you, I woke up knowing, intellectually I knew I was rejuvenated. Emotionally, I said, look at that, you were rejuvenated for 15 minutes.
Right.
And I sat in a moment. I ended up being able to meditate again because I wanted to free myself from why I didn't make that my first choice. Why did I resist that 15 minutes that would have been so hugely beneficial to me? Why I was going to push through that. And we're going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I want to just encourage, and why I told that silly little story, because
Right.
it's not a one and done. You're not going to be, oh, now I'm this person. You're not. Those things are going to come up, and we're going to be challenged with this new thinking. I mean,
Right.
I know better here. My
Right.
emotional state was like, okay, you got to just finish. There's so much to do. And I went, oh, no. So I just wanted to say that because I know that many people are feeling that. And that's why you'll start to give up on a new process. And if your body and taking care of your body so that you can take care of everyone else matters, be patient with this.
And that's why it's so important to get the support that you need and to surround yourself with people that understand the journey that you're on. That's really very important. And especially with the journey that I take clients on, when
Mm-hmm.
they've made the commitment to no longer diet, and now they go ahead and tell a friend or a family member that I've decided to not diet anymore. And this individual looks at them and says, what do you mean? You know, you say you want to lose weight, or, you know, we in this society think that the way we manage our weight is through a diet.
Right.
You're not going to really understand and maybe not be as supportive if you try to explain to them the intuitive process. And that's why surrounding yourself with people who do understand who are on the same journey is so important. And, you know, I'm proud to say that I have really built a community online. It's a free community for people who are on this journey or just starting the journey, so they can be surrounded with people
Right.
who are also in that, you know, on this path.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly believe in the support as well. It's what I work towards, and I think the importance for people to recognize that they're not in this alone. You don't need to be in this alone. I think the supportive community and like-minded people that are in there understand what we're all going through. So there's no judgment. I mean, that's what I've found, right? That's what we try to really work towards. Because there's that stigma of the judgment that comes along with all of this. So,
Right.
and
Right.
even when you reach out for help, I've always put the little comma, show them how to help you, so that they're not doing it how they think you should help, you want help, right? And then they show up and then you get angry and everybody's, you know, in a crazy state now. And state matters. State is a big thing, especially when changing behavior to whatever behavior.
Right.
So this is great with, you know, the reminder of the support and reminder of the diet and the diet mentality, and staying out of that, you know, that yo-yo, I guess. If so let me see what I want to ask you. Like, so to become intuitive about that, all of what we just said, that'll be sitting here playing its tape.
Yeah.
And now my hunger comes up. How do I stay out of the tape? What and how do I get to that intuitive?
Well,
muscle?
it's a step-by-step process. So first we start with the mindset piece, really shifting the mindset out of being a dieter, out of a dieter mentality, starting to recognize whenever we begin to think of a word, whenever we hear ourselves thinking of a dieter's word or we saying a dieter's word, then we kind of bring ourselves out of it and remind ourselves we're committing to a new way of life, right? No diet. And then we move into that second step of support and self-care. Then we move into that third step of honoring your body. And that's where you really learn how to hear hunger. You learn what hunger feels like. What does it sound like? Because from years of dieting, more than likely, those hunger signals have silenced and you're hearing them only in the ravenous state where, oh my God, I need to eat something, because you've pushed away that slight hunger, the very first sign of hunger. You push it away because a lot of dieters think that they're not supposed to feel hunger. If they feel hunger, that's quote unquote bad, right?
Right.
So they push it away as long as they can until it's in that state of famished and they have to eat. And then at that point, all bets are off with the type of food you're eating and how much you're eating. And so in this step, it's relearning what hunger feels like, the varying degrees of hunger, so we know when to begin our eating. And it's also relearning the various levels of fullness, or we'll call it satiety, so we know when to stop eating. And then we practice that. Along with looking at emotions, because emotional eating is a barrier in this journey for a lot of people. The end result is we want to feel great in our body. We want to love our bodies, right? But if we're coping with life and our emotions by turning to food, what does food do? Well, it might distract us for a little bit of time. It might numb our pain for a little bit of time, but afterwards, when that eating event is over, you're dealing with the original feeling, and you're now dealing with the guilt, the shame, the
remorse, yeah,
and then even the physical discomfort of overeating, right? So it's really in this step where we delve very deeply into emotional eating and how to cope with those emotions without eating. And it really all comes together. And I also want to say another thing. It's also very important to love what you're eating, to eat what you love, not what you think you should eat. As a dieter, you typically are eating foods that you should eat because this is what the diet tells you to eat. Well, in this third step of my process, we really learn how to have pleasure and full satisfaction in your meals again. And it is amazing. Now, of course, by this point, because we've worked very hard on shifting the mindset, we've dealt with that inner critic, we've dealt with negative messaging, you know, it isn't to say that the voices from the past don't sometimes pop back.
Sure.
That's why in step 4, we return to really looking at those voices and transforming those inner voices. And we really look at, what are some of the, we'll call them destructive dieting voices that might still play here or there in our head. Well, we want to make sure that they play no more. And we want to really transform them into powerful ally voices, voices that are nurturing to us, non-judgmental voices, because that is so important, so that all this work really helps you to not just, reclaim being an intuitive eater, but stay being an intuitive eater as you were born.
Right.
So
Not
it's
have it
really,
hostage.
yeah,
I call it hostage. I feel like I'm hostage to that thinking. And,
right.
I think when you get serious about, I'm done with that. Once you make the decision to, I call it surrender to a new way of looking at it and a new way of thinking, just surrender and work with the process, because it will be a process. It isn't going to be a one and done. I want everyone out there to realize it's not going to be that, but be patient with it, because I feel, you find your voice in there. You find who you are, and you reclaim that strength that you have. I always look at it like I have it in so many other areas of my life, but when it came to eating, I felt so shameful and weak and all of those other things. And I thought, this is two different people. Well, how could that be? So I had to really build that muscle back. And so many of us, people, a lot more of women in my experience as well. Men go through this as well, but a lot more women, because of all the other issues that we've, carried with us. We talk about the parenting and all that other stuff. We get too hard on ourselves about this. And I think that the patience with knowing it can change, and it will change. I think that's the other key piece, knowing it's going to change versus hoping. Right. When we go, I hope it works, and we're not really fully invested in the process.
That's right.
And it will work, because I realized how long it took in my life to get me to this place of stinking thinking. I call it that.
Yeah.
So unwinding that will take its time as well, it will happen. So I want to say that. What would you say, if people needed to start today with making one change, what would that be, in your opinion, that people could do today?
I would say commit to never dieting again. So go through your home and throw out all the diets and anything that is reminiscent of a diet. And as hard as that may be, throw away your scale, so you don't weigh yourself every single day, because you are not a measure based on the number on your scale.
Listen, we got to wait 2 seconds on that. It's like a step class in the bathroom every morning, right?
Absolutely. We got to get rid of it. And really, really, by getting rid of all those external dieters' tools, you're making that commitment to learn how to trust your inner body wisdom, because your eating can be guided by your inner wisdom, and get the support that you need to go through the process. Please don't, be ashamed of that at all. There's nothing shameful about reaching out for help and support, because it is a difficult process to do alone. And there's no reason why you can't get support on this journey, and, a system for you to really get to where you want to be. So I think that that's extremely important.
That's good. That's excellent. I like I like the clearing out of the house and your surroundings and your environment, because it's interesting that when you not that you have to step on the scale, but if you see the scale, what a trigger, right? I see. Yeah.
Because then you're battling with it. Should I, shouldn't I? Should I, shouldn't I? Should I, shouldn't I?
Right. I don't want. I should. Let me just see. Yeah. Yeah. I get it, and I'm sure everybody out there is saying this, and they're going like, "Get rid of the."
Well, that's why you need support, because when I tell my clients that, and I say, when we work on our process and the intuitive eating, there's no scale, there's no weighing you, you don't have to weigh in, you don't have to call in your weights, there's none of that.
Right.
Actually a big relief. It's a huge relief for them.
Yeah, no, it is. And it needs to be, because once you let go of that section, it's amazing how things line up, and then that gets taken care of.
Yeah.
It's the same reason why self-care, when you take care of you, everybody else gets taken care of because of that. And it doesn't sound like it's going to be that way, right? But That's what I noticed when I made the shift in self-care to
Right.
take care of me first and everybody else. I was so much better for everybody else as a result. And that was what was so important to me.
A
I wanted
hundred percent.
to show up from as me, and oh my God, this really, and I had to prove that to myself. So be patient when you see that, when you take care of yourself and you let people know. I put everybody on notice. I
Yeah.
said, I do not like the way I feel about myself. I need to get myself in a better place so that I'm here for you. And so here's how I need your help. And I described the help. And were
Beautiful.
so, they were so accommodating. Why not? They love me.
Yes, of
They love
course.
me. So
We
that
have
was,
to ask for the experiences we want.
that's
Bottom
right.
line.
That's right. And then to see that, and afterwards I was like, oh, well, of course they would help me. They love me. But why I stopped before, it's, and that was great. I went through the process of why I was thinking even that.
Right, right,
So
right.
be patient with it. It's you who will be found. I will promise you that. It is that in that journey, it's you who will be found, and the empowerment of that, finding that person, because nobody else can give you that.
Mm-hmm.
Is gonna catapult your journey and be one with it all too. You have a free gift. Can you tell us a little bit about your free gift?
Oh, absolutely. I've outlined a little bit for you today the 5 steps to a body you love without dieting. So that's my 5-step system towards freedom to eat forever, really reclaiming being an intuitive eater. And the gift for you today is my ebook called 5 Steps to a Body you Love Without Dieting. So it takes you actually through my 5 steps.
Sweet.
Gives you a place to not just read about it, but to give you action steps on how to implement that and get the process started for you in your life. And you can access that, I guess, at the link that you're going to
Yeah,
put.
it'll be all in the daily the daily email that they're seeing this interview on already. Yeah, I'm going to give all that information. And what a generous gift. Thank you so much for that, Bonnie.
My pleasure. I
Yeah.
want people to really get a little bit of a feel for what the journey is like. So,
Yeah. I like it. I appreciate your time today. I appreciate the work that you're doing in this world. And, we're all here for each other. I call it the tribe. We're all in this together.
yeah.
We are, I think my favorite lesson has been many, but I like the feeling that we are all more alike than we are different.
Right.
And when we get to understand that and to know that we can come together and, together we are stronger than we are alone. That is my tagline. So I will say the support is all it's cracked up to be in everything in our life. So
Yes.
thank you so much for sharing yourself. And again, for the work that you bring to this world. And thank you all for coming today and listening. And hopefully you took away a nice nugget or two from today with Bonnie. And we will have more for you. So much blessings and thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.